विश्वानि देव सवितर्दुरितानि परासुव यद्भद्रं तन्न आसुव। आत्मीय नवीन भाई, रश्मिबेन, बद्राबेन और Madhubai and Sarlaben from Satkarma Mission, NDG, or my very dear, my very close friend, बहुत कम लोग ऐसे बचे हैं जो तू कह के मुझे पुकारे तो मुझे भी अच्छा लगता है, ऐसे मेरा दीपक भाई। We have spent some wonderful time together 30 years back. It is so nice to see him here. Atmiya Swajam. We are going to discuss this evening of the most important aspect of our life, peace. Nobody can underestimate the importance of peace in human life. I want to begin this talk with an anecdote, in fact a true story. There is this Jewish author called Joshua Liebman, and he has written his autobiography, which is titled as Peace of Mind. And in the introduction, the author writes, "Dear reader, you might be surprised at the title of this book, but there is a small story behind it." Liebman says that when he was 23, 24, just out of the university, ready to strike the world and make it big in life, Liebman says that I was a very systematic person. I wanted to be happy as everyone does in life. And I listed a few things, that what are the things that I'm going to need in order to be happy in my life. A good job, hefty bank balance, big home, good car, maybe two, maybe a vacation home, a beautiful wife, and an intelligent too if possible. He listed some things, and he kept looking at this list and thought for a while, suppose I have everything that I have listed, am I going to be happy? And he felt that no, this list is incomplete. He could not figure out what was missing in that list. After about 2 weeks or so, he decided to go and consult a rabbi in a local synagogue. He was an old man, and synagogue thought, Joshua Liebman thought that this rabbi has seen the world and the spirituality, both the fields in life, so let me take his guidance. Went to him, put this list in front of him and said, I want to be happy in life, and this is the list I have prepared, but I feel the list is incomplete. Can you guide me what is missing in it? This old man looked at the list, smiled for a while, picked up the pen which was lying beside him, and put a big cross on that list. Liebman says that I was a young man of 23, 24. My blood literally started boiling. What this old man is doing? This is like a blueprint of my life, and he's putting a cross over it. And then he wrote 3 words on the top of the list: peace of mind. This old rabbi told Liebman, my young friend, even if you have everything that is listed and more in life, but if you don't have peace of mind, you won't be happy. And even if a few things are missing from this list, but if you can attain peace of mind, rest assured no one will be as happy as you are in the world. Liebman says at the young age of 23, 24, I could not quite understand what this old man meant. But I kept that paper with me because it carried handwritings of some holy person. This was put in some book, Life Passed By. When I wrote my autobiography, I began at the age of 75. Now I'm 77. And then autobiography was complete. I started thinking how I'm going to title this. While flipping through the pages in the book of my books in my library, suddenly this paper came out, and I went down the memory lane. How 55 years have passed, and now I realize how important these three words were: peace of mind. And that is how I decided to title my autobiography as Peace of Mind. Most of us do not realize because we keep trading our peace of mind with so many things: money, status, positions, power, joy, and ultimately we keep losing peace. And finally, when we realize the importance of peace, probably it's too late. And the repentance looms so large on human soul that it's unbearable. Dear friends, Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to be at peace with one's own self. Peace is something which comes from within. It cannot be bought from outside. It cannot be brought from outside. It cannot be borrowed from outside. It cannot be bought, brought, or borrowed. It is there. It is your nature. A newborn child is so much at peace. In Jain system, there's a wonderful word called pratikraman. Pratikraman literally means to turn about. We have acquired this unhappiness. We have acquired this turbulence in our life. Peace is our nature. How do we lose our peace? I have listed. First of all, I went through the entire Bhagavad Gita and I selected the verses which contain the word peace, Shanti. And then, to put this string together, to put these pearls together, I thought that what are the things because of which we are losing our peace? Can you suggest me through your experience, how do we lose our peace? Money, okay.
Conflict with the ego.
Conflict with ego. Greed. Materialism.
Getting into
arguments. And let's not talk about with whom.
Worries.
Worries, yes. Discontent. Really? Bad relationships. Yeah, we began with arguments. Ambitions,
Respect.
Lust, desire. I have put these things together in 5 words. These 5 words are: first, I'll take one by one and I'll give the words of Bhagavad Gita which Lord Krishna suggests. Very first thing, as Manish Bhai said, lust, desires. I have put them as attractions. In Vedantic terminology, we would say rag, attractions, lust. Which is, how does it appear? How does it come? If we analyze the phenomenon of attraction, we see an object, we like it. And the moment we like the object, we are attracted to it. Dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate. In 8 steps of degeneration, Lord Krishna describes in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita while talking about Sthita Prajna. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोह, सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रम, स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो, बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Very simply put, we look at an object. Immediately a reaction happens. Either we like it or we don't like it. When we like it, we keep thinking about it. Dhyayato vishayan punsa. Sangasteshu pajayate. What happens? We are attached, we are attracted towards it. Sangat sanjayate kama. Kama is lust. The demand increases, the desire increases. I want it, I want it, I want it, and I want it no matter what. Kamat krodho vijayate. Now because of that lust, anger comes in. Because whoever stops us from getting our kama, our lust, we are going to get angry towards it. I want to get to the corner of this hall. And if somebody stops me, obviously I'm going to get angry. Why are you stopping me? Anger is nothing but a reaction towards the person who puts obstacles in the path of your lust. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Because of anger, a kind of cloud comes over your mind. Sammoha smriti vibhrama. Because of that cloud, the memory loss takes place. Husband and wife living together for past 30 years, and for something there is a friction, there are arguments, and the moment they are arguing, we are angry at each other, they will forget the good moments that they have lived together in past 30 years. At that moment they will feel that they are the worst enemies in the world. Smriti vibhrama. Smriti bhramshat buddhi nasho. Because of smriti vibhrama, because of loss of memory, buddhi nash, the intellect is destroyed. And buddhinashat pranashyati. What is that which distinguishes us from animal kingdom? It is our intellect. And if we are devoid of our intellect because of anger, how are we different from any animal in the world? Vinashyati. That is degeneration. Modern science, modern psychologists have proved this sequence in laboratories too. We are going to talk about this subject in a very brief time, so I'm not going to go into the detail of this. Lord Krishna says how to go beyond these attractions with the concept of sharing, yajna. One of my favorite examples I want to share with you today in the concept of sharing. Here is this man was driving his brand new car and coming out of his neighborhood. His neighbor saw him, stopped him, hey, and this person braked. And this neighbor comes and literally touching the car and says, wow, bought a new car? The person on the wheel says, I haven't bought it, my brother gave it to me. The neighbor still, I wish I had such a beautiful car. The driver said, why don't you wish that you had such a generous brother? A third person who was listening to this dialogue came closer and said, why don't none of you wish that you could be such a brother?
Yeah.
Look at these three stages. A, car is beautiful, no doubt about it. The moment we see something beautiful, we are attracted. Secondly, we want to possess this, we want to have it immediately. And we think, how would it be if somebody gives it to me? But how many of us, when we see something good, something attractive, how many of us really think that, yes, this is good, this is attractive, I like it, not only I like it, I need it too, but I want to share it with others, I want to give it to somebody else. Right. As a German poet says, Rilke, he says, what is love? Before you thought to be receiving, I was inclined to make a gift to you. And when this love comes, we are always at peace. The craving of possessing objects suddenly disappears. Now, those attractive things do not make you unhappy, do not make you turbulent, do not snatch your peace away. The beautiful things, attractive things, remind you of your loved ones, and they give you a pleasant feeling inside. And this is what precisely Lord Krishna says. Nasti buddhira yuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantihi ashantasya kutas sukham. This is the 66th verse of 2nd chapter. Nasti buddhira yuktasya. Ayukta means one who has not conquered his senses. One who has not controlled his senses. He doesn't have intellect. Nacha yuktasya bhavana. Emotions. Steady intellect. He doesn't have that. Nacha bhavayata shanti. If you don't have the right combination of intellect and emotion, no one can attain peace. You can't attain peace. Nacha bhavayata shanti. He cannot be at peace. And a person who is not at peace with his own self, how can he be happy in this world? Ashantasya kutas sukham. This is like a quote on Bhagavad Gita. If you are not, what do we think? I want to be happy, and so I will be at peace. Bhagavad Gita says, be at peace first. Happiness won't be away from you, won't be far from you. Our whole road is different. Secondly, does it mean that a person who believes in Bhagavad Gita, a person who follows the instructions of Sri Krishna, does not get attracted to anything, does not enjoy life and objects? Because this is a very popular misunderstanding. If you want to be religious, you have to give up the world. You have to go away from the world. As Albert Schweitzer very categorically said that most religions of the world are life negative. And he is true to a great extent. Whatever we do in the normal course of life, a person who does not do it, we brand him as a religious person. We stay in a home. A person who abandons home, we immediately say he must be a religious person. He doesn't stay in home, he stays in a hut. And a hut is air conditioned. We wear clothes. A person who doesn't wear clothes or wears a particular type of clothes is supposed to be a religious person. We need to eat twice, thrice, maybe 4 times a day. A person who doesn't eat for days together is supposed to be a religious person. He eats only sabudana or eats only boiled potato. He must be a religious person. We try to earn money with our honest efforts. A person who doesn't touch money, kanchan, kamini, keep them away from us. We say he must be a religious person. He doesn't touch money, he doesn't look at women. We are emotional people. We establish relation with people. A person who doesn't have any relation with anybody. I have nothing to do with people. I don't belong to anybody, none belongs to me. You say, must be a religious person. See, whatever we do in the normal course of life, a person who does not do it is taken as a religious person. Vedic Sanatan culture says that you can be right in the center of life and still be religious. Not only religious, you can still be spiritual. How do this Sthita Prajna, how do these great people who are at peace with themselves enjoy worldly pleasures? Lord Krishna explains this with a wonderful example. Apuryamana machala pratishtham samudramapah pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kama kami. If you are running behind the happiness, if you are running behind the objects, you are never going to be happy. Let the happiness come to you. Let those objects come to you. And they will come. People say, if you don't do anything, how are they going to come? They will come. That is how the world operates. That is how the system operates. Let me ask you a very simple question. Aren't we much more happier, objective happiness wise or material happiness wise, than people, those who were 200, 300, maybe 500 years back. I think we are much more happier than Emperor Akbar. Just take the field of entertainment. When Akbar needed entertainment, he was so restricted. Some dancers will come or some drama group will come. They will perform their act in the light of those mashals or lamps at the night time, with a limitation of those artists. And now we have flat screen digital TV with some 800 channels. And if you don't like one channel, just press a thumb and something different. You don't like classical music, then bam, bam, bam. We are much more happier than even Emperor Akbar. He did not have so many choices. And we did not do anything specific to earn this entertainment. The world gave it to us. The technology gave it to us. It is going to come your way. The point is how you take it, how you face it. So, running behind something does not make us happy. How do you receive that comes to you makes you happy and at peace. Apuryamana. We are like an ocean, a person who's like an ocean, and all the rivers come to the ocean. And ocean accepts them. Though ocean is full from all the sides, it accepts all the rivers, but there is no overflow in the ocean. And at the same time, if a particular river does not come, ocean doesn't send invitation cards, hey, why didn't you come? I'm waiting for you. Why were you lost in the desert? So whatever comes, whoever comes, most welcome. And if it doesn't happen, it's fine. We are complete. This is what Vedic Rishis announced with pride. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnama. I am happy even without anything, and I am happy with everything in the world. Because I project happiness on the objects. I project happiness on the people. Objects do not make me happy. People do not make me happy. I project my happiness. Happiness is something within me, and I am projecting on it. When I give lectures on Vedanta, I always ask one question. How many of you like eggplant? Can you please raise your hands? Good. And how many of you don't like eggplant? Nice. Now just tell me, my dear friends, what has eggplant to do whether you like it or not?
It doesn't care.
No.
It doesn't care. So liking and not liking are your projection. Eggplant is an eggplant. It is just the way it is. It is our projection. And those who like eggplant would look, wow, eggplant Parmeshon. Did I pronounce correctly?
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Parmesan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to call આપણે શું કહેવાય પેલું
Parmesan. Yeah, that's
Parmesan બરાબર છે
Really?
ઓળો I didn't want to say Bharta. So Parmesan. Is it right, Naveen bhai? Fine. So thank you so much.
What's in the name anyway?
What's in a name anyway? That's true.
भुर्ता भी अच्छा होता है.
हाँ ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है. I know you like it. But those who do not like eggplant will just say, come on, don't you have any other example?
Gulab Jamun.
Eggplant has nothing to do with it. For that matter, my dear friends, no object in this world has nothing to do with what your impression is. It's you who are bothered with it. Things are there. And if we walk a step further, people are there. They have nothing to do whether you like them or not. It's up to you. Because it is your state of mind which will make you like the people or not like them, whether to derive happiness from them or not. So it's all right here, projection. Be like an ocean who accepts all the rivers, and even if it doesn't come, it doesn't make a difference to the ocean. This is what Bhagavad Gita teaches, to handle attractions. Another point, which is the reason for our, and finally Lord Krishna says in the second chapter, 71st word, Vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumansharati nispruha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashanti madhigacchati. Without the feeling of mine and without the feeling of ego. Nirmama nirahankar. Our ego is based on the fact mama, mama, mama. Mama is mine. The more the mine, the bigger the ego. And have you ever thought how futile this concept of ego is? Because it is based on mine. Just a word wife doesn't make any sense. But the moment it becomes mine, my wife, there is an ego. Then the more adjectives to it, the bigger the ego. My beautiful wife, ego is bigger. My beautiful and educated wife, ego is still bigger. My beautiful, educated, coming from a very big family, wife, ego is still bigger. And just ask, okay, my beautiful, educated, rich, coming from a big family, wife, ego is still bigger. And just ask yourself, my dear friend, what have you done in it? If she's beautiful, it's because of her genetic qualities. If she's educated, it's because her parents took care of it. If she is rich, it's because of her own efforts. And if she's coming from a big family, it's again her thing. What have you done with it? And why are you just married? Yeah.
Isn't that good?
And you are blowing your ego on that? What is your contribution to it?
She married you.
Ego is such a baseless thing. Because most ego, it's always based on mama, mama, mama. And actually speaking, there is nothing which is permanently mama.
Yeah.
And that is how this world operates. Nobody, no object is going to be with you forever. And the moment they go away, there is a big pain in the balloon of ego. This is what all the time happens. Nirmamo nirahankar sashanti madhigacchati. That person achieves peace. Another thing, second point, which disturbs us, which snatches our peace away, is ignorance. And for ignorance, we need wisdom to remove the ignorance. There are three words: information, knowledge, and wisdom. Information is very basic. We are living in an age of information, but it is just collecting data. It doesn't really take us anywhere. There was this man at the inquiry counter of a railway station in India, and he asked that person, the clerk there inside, "Excuse me, gentlemen, can you tell me what time Ahmedabad Janta Express will leave?" He said, 6:05 a.m. "And what time Delhi Janta will leave?" 7:10. Firozpur Janta Express, 8:15. Flying Rani, 9:20. Dehradun Janta, 11:20. Jammu Tawi Express. Well, that clerk was a little bit upset, and he said, "You are asking the timings of all the trains, just tell me which train you want to travel to."
Yeah.
This man, "I don't want to travel in any train, I just want to cross the tracks." This is information. It doesn't really take us anywhere, but there are people who are so very engrossed in collecting information. They will tell you the list of all the shopping malls, and if you want to buy a small thing, a small camera, maybe of $50, they will tell you, if you go there, you will get it at $48.99.
Yes.
They have the information. They have those coupon cut from the newspaper. It doesn't really take us anywhere. Knowledge. Knowledge is helpful to an extent. Knowledge is that which you actually can use for yourself, for others. But still, knowledge is not a part of you. In my earlier discourses on Bhagavad Gita, I used to use this word knowledge for Gyan. But since last 3 to 4 years, as I evolve myself through contemplation and more studies and updating myself, now I use the word wisdom for Gyan. And I define wisdom as knowledge which has transformed you. Knowledge which has become your experience is wisdom. You may have to remember knowledge. Wisdom, you don't have to remember, because it is your self, it is your part, it is you. You are already transformed, and it becomes a wisdom. To conquer ignorance, we need wisdom. And how can one attain wisdom? In 39th verse of 4th chapter, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparas sanyatendriyaha jnanam labdva param shantim achirena adhigacchati. If you attain wisdom, param shantim, the supreme peace, is attained, and that too achirena. Achirena is instantly, immediately. And who attains this wisdom? Shraddhavan labhate jnanam, who has faith, who has trust. Trust in A, one's own self, B, in a teacher, in a guru, and C, in the Supreme Lord. You have to, as this camera stands steady on a tripod, and all the three stands of all the three legs of the tripod should be steady. Similarly, in order to have total clear vision, we should have this tripod stand of faith. Faith in one's own self, faith in Guru, and faith in God. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. If you don't have faith in them, you cannot really have wisdom. You may collect information. So whatever is happening in the schools and colleges and universities, information is gathered. Because the person sitting in the front of the teacher may not necessarily have faith in the teacher. They feel that, oh, he's a salaried servant and his salary comes from my tuition fees that I pay. There is no faith left. In ancient India, we had faith. Because A, there was no give and take involved. There was no conditions. Whatever was given with love, and it was accepted with grace. But it was not conditional. B, the same Guru used to teach everything. Here what happens? In 45 minutes the Guru changes. After each lecture. And each year the whole set of Guru changes. So by the time you have studied for 14 years, 15 years, or maybe 20 years, you have had so many Gurus that you don't even remember who taught you what. Here, one Guru used to teach everything. And they were so well versed in all the branches of knowledge. So Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. And tatpara. Tatpara is ready. Most people average out in life because they are not tatpar to gather wisdom. They are not ready to gather. Wisdom is everywhere. I like you all, I love you all, but let us analyze. So many people were informed about this event this evening. So many emails were sent. So frequently they were sent. And what is the population of New York City? 10 million? 15 million? Okay. At least 1%, even if you count those who are interested in attaining peace, others are not interested in attaining peace. And how many of us are here? Why? Because they definitely want peace. They are wonderful creatures.
They're not ready.
They are wonderful people. But they are not tappar. Probably tapparta is, and how does tapparta comes? How does readiness comes? Priority.
Priority.
What do you prioritize in life? What is important for you? And if peace is important for you, you will do anything for it. If something else is important for you, then definitely peace can wait. So tatparta is very important. Tatpar. Knowledge is there, wisdom is there.
Readiness.
Readiness, where is it? This reminds me of a small event in my life. I was traveling in a train, I was very 12, 13 years old, traveling in a train from Bombay to Ahmedabad. I was going to my grandmother in vacation. It was a third class compartment, unreserved compartment. I have traveled like that because the day my exam would get over, I would just jump in a train and go to my grandmother. And I distinctly remember this scene in like 35 years ago in Indian trains, if you have traveled long distance trains, there were no mineral water bottles at that time. Water was sold. Water was sold
In Matka.
in matkas, in pots, and with glasses. A person would come in, and especially if you are traveling on Bombay, Ahmedabad, and in Maharashtra, Gujarat region, the moment you enter Gujarat, people will come with pani water. Is called as pani, but the legal, that local accent, pani. And the moment we realize, yes, we are in Gujarat now. And for years, my dear brothers, I have seen water was sold at 10 paisa per glass. There was never a price hike in that. There was never recession, there was no bullish and bearish time in that. It was always sold for 10 paisa a glass. And everyone knew it, that it is always sold for this cost. This boy of 15, 16 was selling water, and everybody, hey, give me a glass of water. They would drink the water, put a coin of 10 paisa in that glass and give it back to this person. He would just rinse the glass and give it to others. Now here is a gentleman in my compartment. He asked, hey, how much is a glass of water for? I said, sir, 10 paisa. Want to sell it for 5 paisa? That boy just went ahead and he just went and said, hey! He just looked back and said, sir, forget it. You are not yet thirsty enough. I so vividly remember this dialogue. You are not yet thirsty enough. Because if you were thirsty, you would not ask for the cost of water. Because everybody knows, and by bargaining for 5 paisa, you are not going to save a lot of money. What is the value of those 5 paisa? You are not thirsty enough. So those people who are asking questions about God, where is God? How can we attain it? Just give us a total plan from A to Z. Logistics, how to attain God. I always say, my dear friend, you are not thirsty enough. Because Your tatparata, your readiness will come only when you are dying to it. And at the same time, sanyatendriyaha, sanyam, control over senses. That's so important. These are the three things required for wisdom and jnanam. Once you attain the wisdom, param shanti, not ordinary peace, supreme peace.
Ram Shanti.
Shashvat shantim nigachati. Immediately, achirena digachati. Immediately you will attain. And when all the ignorance is shot away, peace becomes your nature. Third thing, एनडी जी मुझे बताइए कितना बोलना है? नहीं ऐसा नहीं. Because I was told I have to begin at 7, but I was not told when do I have to end it.
Yes, we all the time.
We are still thirsty.
Thank you so much.
We are not bargaining.
Yeah. Third thing which snatches our peace away is expectations. We expect a lot. And that is what makes us unhappy in life. There are certain statements I don't want to translate because if I translate, the flavor is lost. Whenever I talk about expectations, I am reminded of a wonderful quotation by Sri Harindra Bhai Dave, Deepak Bhai's father. In Gujarati he said, કોઈનો પ્રેમ ક્યારે ઓછો હોતો નથી, આપણી અપેક્ષાઓ જ વધારે હોય છે.
Right.
Nobody's, now I'm trying to translate because I know that it cannot be translated. Nobody's love is less, our expectations are more. And that is why we feel that, oh, he is not taking care of me, she is not taking for me, you are not doing enough for me. We conveniently forget that we expect a lot. No matter how much that person drags himself or herself, we are never going to be happy because of our expectations. Lord Krishna says to win our expectations, yukta karma phalam tyaktva shanti mapnoti naishtikim ayukta kamakarena phale sakto nibadyate. 12th verse of the 5th chapter. Karma Sannyasa Yoga, 5th chapter. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva. Yukta, yogi. And according to Bhagavad Gita, yogi is not just who does exercise every morning. That is essential. I am not joking. And if you are doing it, you are a good person. Don't stop it. But yoga basically is aimed at, it comes from the Sanskrit root, yuja to join. Yoga is a process which joins you with the Supreme, which makes you one with the Supreme Being. And of course, for that, a healthy body is essential. So Hatha Yoga is like a tip of an iceberg of the entire yoga system, which is important exercise. A healthy mind stays in a healthy body. Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam, our Rishi says. Even if you want to be a seeker, even if you want to attain spiritual bliss, you need to have a body, a fit body. That is why exercise is important. But yogi is one who has conquered his mind, one who has won over his mind. And conquering word invites it has a little bit of violence. Rene, I'm obsessed by your question that you asked. So let us put that who has won over, and not even won over, who has befriended his mind. That is a yogi. Who has understood his mind and intellect is a yogi. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva. What does he do? He gives up the results, the fruit of karma. Most people in this world, and very famous word, I don't need to, because the moment I'll begin this verse, I know at least 80% of you will chant it with me. 47th verse of the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Karmanyeva adhikaraste Ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phala heturvuhu mate sangostva karmani. Most people do karma because, and I'm not going to translate karma as work or karma as action, because the word karma has its own meaning which is accepted by the Western encyclopedia. Most people, when they do karma, immediately they expect results. In fact, before doing karma, they settle the conditions. What am I going to get? What am I going to achieve if I do it? Naveen Bhai, you are inviting me for a discourse on Bhagavad Gita, but are you going to serve dinner over there? Are we going to get dinner? What am I going to get? So result is first, and then more probably we'll think of doing the karma. While Bhagavad Gita says, do your karma, forget the result, give up the result, tyaktva, renunciate the result. Most people think, then why should we do karma if results are? Bhagavad Gita assures you, if you renunciate your results of karma, don't think that you are not going to get anything. Na datte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhuhu. God does not take anybody's sins or anybody's sukrut, meritorious acts, meritorious karma. God does not take. When you offer something to God, God does not take it.
Yeah.
It is yours for safekeeping. It will come to you at the right time, at the right place, and at the right event. Only thing, you have to have Shraddha, trust.
Faith.
And what happens? When you give your results of karma at the lotus feet of Lord, you become free of stress, free of tension. I have performed. I have given my 100%. My expertise, my wisdom, my knowledge, my time, my involvement, I have given my 100%. Now it is up to this system. And when I say here God is not just any particular form, it is the system of this universe which gives, as Newton's third law of motion, or as an echo, you send a sound and it is going to come back to you. You do a karma and the result is going to come to you. When we constantly think of the fall, of the fruit, we are stressed. We lose our peace of mind. It's like a farmer who has sown a seed in the ground, and every morning or maybe every couple hours he just removes the seed. Did it grow? Did it germinate? It's not going to. You have to have faith that I have sown the seed, I am watering it, I have put the fertilizer, now the system is going to work. It is going to germinate. Similarly, when we do karma and we constantly think of phala, the fruit, we are constantly at peace, and actually it tarnishes the result. By the time the result comes, we already have lost the charm because we have constantly thought about it. Yukta, a yogi, karma phalam tyaktva. I have done my job, dear God, now it is up to you. Whenever you bestow the result on me, I'll accept it as your prasad, as your blessings, as your grace. And that is when you are absolutely at peace with yourself. Then, fifth thing that, because of which we lose our peace of, a fourth thing we lose our peace, thank you, Mil. We lose our peace of mind is accusations and guilt. Accusations, we accuse others. And guilt is, we accuse our own self. That is guilt. Because of that, we lose our peace of mind. Others are doing wrong. He did wrong. She did wrong. This is not proper. Or, I did something wrong. Most people have this guilt in them. Lord Krishna, in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yoga says, अपि चेत् सुदुराचारो भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यक् व्यवसितो हि सः. Api chet suduracharo, even if the worst, the most vile sinner, I am putting all these three words together to accentuate the whole concept. Sudurachar, most vile sinner. If he comes to me at my refuge, accepting as a saint, sadhu eva samantavya. Why? Samyak vyavasito hi saha. At least he has rightly resolved now. At least he has made a right resolution that now I'm not going to go on this path. Once he comes to me, forget about, put a cover on his past deeds. Regard him as a saint. Sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi sa kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chanti nigacchati. And one who is resolved to be on the right path, kshipram, again immediately he becomes dharmatma, a saintly person. And shashvat shantim nigacchati, he attains eternal peace. Shashvat shanti, not a temporary peace. Shashvat shanti, eternal peace. And Lord Krishna gives a wonderful assurance. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Arjun, take it for sure and go announce it in front of the entire world. Name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee never degenerates. My devotee never suffers degeneration. When I explain this verse, when I'm talking on Bhagavad Gita, each chapter and each verse wise, I take at least 45 minutes to explain these verses. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. And if you know the nuances of Sanskrit language, you will actually, Lord Krishna says, Arjun, go tell the world, go announce it in front of the world that my devotee never suffers degeneration. Why is Lord telling Arjun to go and announce it? Because, again, my devotee, Arjun, you are my devotee. If I promise something, I may falter. But if you promise, I will make sure that your words are true. You go and announce it. It's like a father. If I want a new shirt for myself, I have decided that I want to buy a new shirt this weekend. I may not buy it. But dear son, if you want it, I will make it a point to give it to you. I may control, I may put away my desires, but I will make sure that your desires are fulfilled. Similarly, Arjun, if you announce it, I will make it a point that your promise is kept. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Most vile sinner, if he comes at the lotus feet of Lord, he accepts them. Not just accepts them with sympathy, he brands them as a saint, a dharmatma. Lord is standing with open arms to hug you, to accept you. Are we ready to go into his arms? Because most people in this world, oh, I'm so bad, oh, I'm so bad, and we never go to him. God is ready to accept us. Forget those guilt complexes. Be free from there. And who are we to accuse others? There's a wonderful Shair, Rahat Indorvi, in India. He has written one of my favorite ashar, शेर. उंगलियां यूं न उठाया करो, उंगलियां यूं न उठाया करो, खर्च करने से पहले कुछ कमाया करो. उंगलियां यूं न उठाया करो, खर्च करने से पहले कुछ कमाया करो। जिंदगी क्या है खुद समझ जाओगे, बारिशों में जाके पतंगे उड़ाया करो। Try to fly a kite when it is raining. When winds are favorable, you just do this and the kite goes up in the air. But if you want to really understand what life is, try to fly kite when it is raining. बारिशों में जाके पतंगे उड़ाया करो। रात के बाद यदि शहर देख लो, कुछ फकीरों को खाना खिलाया करो। If you see good times after struggle in life, if you see रात के बाद शहर दिख जाए, कुछ फकीरों को खाना, do some good activity in life, because it is because of this good activity good things are happening in the world around. उंगलियां यूं न उठाया करो, खर्च करने से पहले कुछ कमाया। Who are we to accuse others? Why do we become self-appointed